The economy of survival is ruthless. There is a common misconception among the unprepared that a blade is simply a piece of sharpened metal, that any edge will suffice when the world stops working. This is a lie. This lie is sold to you in blister packs and online listings, promising tactical capability for the price of a cup of coffee. I purchased the lowest priced survival knife available on the global marketplace. The specifications listed were impressive to the untrained eye: stainless steel, serrated spine, hollow handle for storage. It looks like a weapon. It looks like a tool. But in a grid-down scenario, appearances are irrelevant. Physics is the only law that remains. Today we deconstruct this object. We will not be cutting paper or slicing tomatoes. We are simulating the mechanical stresses required to keep a human being alive for 72 hours in a hostile environment. We are going to break this tool, and in doing so, demonstrate why reliance on sub-standard equipment is a decision that leads directly to injury and death. Let us begin with the metallurgy. The listing claims surgical stainless steel. This is a marketing term, not a technical specification. In the context of a survival blade, highly stainless steels often lack the carbon content necessary for edge retention and impact resistance. When you strike a ferro rod against the spine of a high-carbon blade, you get a shower of sparks, shards of burning metal. When you strike this cheap stainless steel, you get nothing. It is too soft to scrape, yet too brittle to flex. The first test of any survival knife is processing wood. You cannot sustain body temperature without fire. You cannot build a fire in wet conditions without accessing the dry inner heartwood of a log. This requires batoning, placing the blade against the wood, and striking the spine with another heavy branch to drive it through. I apply the blade to a 3-inch pine log. The first strike transmits shock directly into the handle. The coating on the blade, likely a cheap epoxy paint, immediately creates friction. A quality blade acts as a wedge, splitting the fibers apart. This blade acts as an anchor. It binds. By the third strike, the structural integrity of the handle is compromised. Listen to the sound. It is not a solid thud. It is a hollow rattle. This brings us to the most critical failure point of budget knives: the tang. The tang is the section of the metal blade that extends into the handle. In a professional survival tool, the tang is full. It matches the shape of the handle and extends to the pommel. It is one solid piece of steel. In this $5 Amazon knife, the tang is a rat-tail. It is a thin rod of metal, barely welded to the blade, encased in cheap plastic or hollow aluminum. As I apply torque to free the stuck blade from the wood, the stress concentrates at the junction between the blade and the handle. Snap! The handle has separated. The blade remains lodged in the wood. In a controlled environment, this is an inconvenience. You are frustrated. You write a bad review. In a survival scenario, you are now dead. Consider the implications. You are 5 miles from your extraction point. The temperature is dropping. Rain is turning to sleet. You needed that fire to stave off hypothermia. Your primary tool has just experienced catastrophic failure. Worse, the jagged metal of the broken handle has sliced your palm during the failure. Now you are not just cold. You are bleeding. You have introduced an open wound to a dirty environment. Infection rates in post-collapse scenarios skyrocket. Without antibiotics, a deep laceration from a dirty, broken tool can become septic within days. The failure of a $5 purchase has started a countdown clock on your life. Let us analyze the survival kit, often included in the handles of these hollow knives. A compass, a match, some fishing line. The compass inside this unit is not liquid-filled. It catches on its own pivot. It points north only by coincidence. Relying on this for navigation will have you walking in circles until you exhaust your caloric reserves. The matches are not storm-proof. The fishing line has the tensile strength of hair. The hollow handle design itself is a flaw. A hollow tube lacks the structural density to be used as a hammer. You cannot pound tent stakes. You cannot crush nuts or bone. You have traded structural integrity for a gimmick. Let's talk about edge geometry. This cheap blade arrived with a hollow grind machine, sharpened to a razor edge. This is deceptively attractive. It feels sharp. But the edge is thin and unsupported. After attempting to carve a notch for a trap trigger, a precision task, the edge has rolled. The soft steel cannot hold the acute angle against hard wood. It folds over. Now you do not have a knife, you have a jagged saw. You cannot skin game with a jagged saw without rupturing internal organs and spoiling the meat. You cannot process tinder. Sharpening this steel in the field is nearly impossible. Soft stainless steel forms a burr that flops back and forth but never breaks off to reveal a true edge. You waste energy and time trying to service a tool that was never meant to last longer than the unboxing video. Contrast this with a tool built for purpose. A high-carbon steel blade, full tang, Scandi, or convex grind. It rusts if you don't care for it. It is heavy. It costs 10 times as much. But when you strike it, it does not rattle. When you pry, it flex and returns to true. The psychology of buying cheap gear is dangerous. It gives a false sense of security. You check the box. Knife. Acquired. You feel prepared. This psychological state prevents you from seeking proper equipment. You are insulated by your ignorance until the moment of failure. Let's look at the sheath. This nylon pouch is single-stitched. The retention strap is Velcro. Velcro fails when packed with mud or snow. The nylon is thin. If you slip down a ravine, the blade can easily pierce this sheath and enter your thigh. The femoral artery is located roughly at the depth a cheap knife will penetrate if you fall on it. Bleed-out time for a severed femoral artery can be less than 3 minutes. Your budget gear has now become an active threat to your biology. We also need to discuss the serrations on the spine. On this Amazon knife, they are aggressive and poorly machined. Sellers claim they are for sawing wood or cutting rope. In reality, they are friction generators. They prevent you from placing your thumb on the spine for controlled carving. They tear up the baton when processing wood. They are aesthetic, designed to make the knife look aggressive to a consumer who has never had to build a shelter. True survival tools prioritize function over aesthetics. Smooth spines for thumb pressure. Sharp 90-degree spines for striking ferro rods. Ergonomic handles that do not create hot spots or blisters after an hour of use. Blisters are not a minor annoyance. In the field, a blister on your palm limits your grip strength. If you cannot grip your axe or your weapon, your effectiveness drops. If that blister pops and gets infected, you lose the hand. Why does this product exist? Because the market demands it. People want the fantasy of survival without the investment. They want the aesthetic of the prepper without the discipline. This knife is a prop. It is a toy for adults who roleplay at disaster. But disaster does not roleplay. The cold does not care about your budget. The hunger does not care about your intentions. If you cannot afford a high-end knife, do not buy this garbage. Buy a Mora. Buy a trade knife. Buy a machete from a hardware store. High-carbon steel, simple construction, proven history. A $10 Mora knife is superior to this. Tactical survival, monstrosity in every measurable metric. It has better steel. It has a hidden Rat-Tail Tang, yes, but it is set in high-density polymer that bonds on a molecular level. It is designed by a culture that lives in the forest, not a factory that churns out plastic. Do not trust your life to the lowest bidder. When you look at your gear loadout, ask yourself, what happens if this breaks? If the answer is, I die, then you need to upgrade that item immediately. Redundancy is also critical. 1 is none, 2 is 1. But 2 pieces of garbage are still just garbage. Carrying 2 of these Amazon knives just means you will have 2 broken handles and 2 lacerated hands. Quality over quantity, skill over gear. But when gear is required, it must be absolute. In conclusion, the purchase of the cheapest knife on Amazon was a successful experiment. It successfully demonstrated exactly what not to do. I have wasted my money, so you do not have to waste your life. Take your inventory tonight. Look at your blades. If you see stainless stamped on the ricasso with no other designation, if you see a hollow handle, if you see a compass in the pommel, throw it away. It is not a tool, it is a trap. Get a file. Test the hardness. Baton a log in your backyard. Find the failure point now, while you have access to a hospital and a credit card. Not when the lights go out and the snow starts falling. Survival is not about what you buy, it is about what works. And this does not work.